Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Letter, where we, of course, have another decision to make.
I think we decided it's really just a gig.
Yeah, seemed like probably the right answer.
But we're wrong on every answer. So.
Yeah, so we decided it wouldn't matter. How'd we do? Bam! All right.
Okay.
So, if we want Zach to date Ash, we're doing a good job.
That's good. Is that an option?
Patience can be a tough thing to summon at times. But we didn't get this far as friends if we let our own tempers be the lord of us.
Bro, it's really just another freelance work.
He eyes me skeptically, the same stare he reserves for people he interrogates. I've been on the receiving end of it before, early in our friendship. Years later, he's already got the unimpressed police look down pat.
And there's nothing going on with me and Miss Hana. She was just being friendly. Insisted I call her by her first name. That's all.
I wasn't implying any of that. You're not that sort of guy.
I know, but let's just get that out of the way. The just-in-case elephant in the room scenario, aight? She's a married woman, Jesus!
Not with the image she presents in public.
No, but trust me, she ain't any of the things the tabloid writes about her.
Like I read any of those.
I know you don't, but keep it in mind, will you?
Will do. Though I can't promise she'll get off scot-free if she's involved. Man, with how you're acting, it feels like I'm doing a solid for your girlfriend.
Cut that out, will you? And I'm not asking you to. Besides,
All right.
what's currently going on here is more important.
So whenever you do have a girlfriend, he's like dad. He's
Pretty
going
much.
to interrogate and scare the hell out of this chick. Is he like going to kidnap her and throw her in the back of the police car?
Probably.
All right, lay it in.
Recounting everything takes the better half of our lunch, but he manages to listen through the entire thing without a snide comment. A feat in itself, actually. At the end of it, Ash merely nods, takes out his phone, and excuses himself. Off to a far corner of the cafe for some privacy, if you can even afford to have such in a place as public as this. Okay. He
Oh, that's the guy we talked to.
Yeah, he returns in a little while and hands me a small card.
I can't stop you if you're willing to believe in this crap. Give this guy a call. You're better off talking to him than me. He's at the public library now if you want to catch him there. He used to be my professor back in the university.
Oh, no, I don't think that's...
Go on, I already gave him a heads up. You know I can't help you out, man.
He gives my arm a tap and walks off, mumbling about checking back how things are at the precinct. I don't see his face when he leaves, but I know this is his own little way of helping out despite what he doesn't voice out. Okay, so that wasn't...
Okay, that wasn't terrible.
No.
You picked a decent answer, I think.
Yeah.
For once. 1 out of
Hopefully.
50.
Of all the places, it never crossed my mind I'll end up wandering into the public library today, considering I rarely ever visited. Somehow, there has always been this kind of disconnect between me and books in general. Sure, some of them held my attention in my youth during the brief times of the day I was left to my own with nothing to do. I went through the whole of Grant's collection, as a matter of fact. Read all of them twice or thrice even. But they never did hold it for long, most of it never even sticked. Especially after I learned it's simply easier to do things myself if I want to learn stuff. ... This ain't in the plan in the first place. But after Ashton went through the trouble to contact the professor, I can't just ignore it. Nothing but quiet greets me inside, though. Not the typical mum one would associate with the library, but one akin to a hush prior to an impending trouble. Or perhaps I'm just overthinking again. I really like to think I'm just thinking too much about this, that this is just the lack of sleep talking. Regardless, apart from a group of students murmuring in a corner somewhere, the place is free of its usual visitors. All while my footsteps echo in a manner unsettling enough to raise the hairs at the back of my neck. Much to my relief, it does not take me long to find him, being the only occupant in his side of the room. Professor Andrew Clark.
Hello again, Santa Claus.
I've never personally met the man, but Ash has spoken highly of him several times. In fact, he is Ash's go-to guy when something's troubling him with a case. My steps are unsure as I approach. At any rate, he greets me with a warm smile like a grandson he hasn't seen in a long time.
Ashton's friend, I take it. Zachary.
That's me.
You'll have to forgive this old man if I don't get your name right.
Oh, no, you got it. It's Zach. Zachary Steele, Professor Clark.
He gestures at the empty seat across the table while he returns to his books. The next couple of minutes pass in relative silence as he continues to read and take notes from the pile he's accumulated on the table. Maybe I should have taken a book first before heading here? But before I can even get far into that idea, the professor clicks the book shut and sets it atop the stack next to him.
Ashton told me you were hoping to get answers from me. Although I'm not quite sure what I could share, I'll do my best to help.
Of course, there are a lot of things I want to ask. How do we get out of this mess in the first among tens, hundreds of concerns in my head? But in the presence of someone I barely know, the thought won't easily form. He is nothing but patient, however, and with enough time to mull over, a question finally forms.
Do you believe in the paranormal, Professor?
It's supernatural, actually. Don't worry. It's a common mistake to make. But they really are two different things. The other one deals with what we can't explain at the moment, while the other are things we may not have an explanation to. Here.
He places a couple papers in front of me, the very same one he was writing on earlier. A study of Luxborn's supernatural culture, in a nutshell.
A friend of mine wrote that a few years ago. He took interest in the city after reading about the stories.
About the murder mansion?
I have to agree with him here. Even stories dealing with things you don't see with the naked eye can be rife with culture, and this city thrives on it. Just ask the
business
locals.
selling now?
It would explain a lot.
Like ghosts, for example.
Among other things. The interpretation has changed over the years, though. Various religions, for example, have their own version. It might not always be a spirit now. It could be a memory, or an imprint, an echo, so to speak. Some are born from curses, even. Out of great anger, hatred, or pain. There was this one story. Ah, here it is.
Ooh, is this it? The story of what happened there?
Another book is pulled out from the stack and placed open atop the papers, while he speaks with such a passion that it makes me wonder if some part of him believes these to be true. It is interesting, though, even if I'm personally not a fan of such stories, and soon hours pass without my notice.
In the end, it asked for something to be sacrificed in order to destroy whatever anchors the wraith. A sad tale, that one. But the simplest grudge can bring the ugliest, even in the kindest person, with some people none the wiser.
I was hoping there was a story about how someone died in that mansion.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll probably get revealed, like what happened.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just went on.
Nah, it's good. Are you familiar with the Ermengarde Mansion, though?
Of course. That goes without saying. Who hasn't heard of the local legend? In fact, you aren't the first one to ask me about that recently.
I was just wondering about that, so we made that choice to talk as Isabella, so now it's coming up here.
Although, word of the mouth is, someone has already bought it.
Ah, yeah. The right couple. It was a close friend who handled that sale.
So I heard. Well, don't think the house being bought by anyone would stop us from talking about it. What is it about the mansion, then?
I just want to ask what you think of it, sir.
We're going to need more than an afternoon for that, young man.
We got time.
You see, it's the kind that has changed over the years, passed down from one person to the next. Sometimes, it's the Lord William who haunts the place. There are versions where it's the lady of the house.
The second one.
Yep.
But my favorite, a personal favorite, would have to be the ones that followed after the disappearance of the kind daughter.
Oh, okay, so she, I would think, would probably be the most likely.
Well, what about these then?
There's a moment of hesitation on my part before I pull out Miss Wright's photos and lay them all in front of him. Unlike Ash, though, the professor inspects each print with great interest. That gives me some hope, at least.
When were these taken?
Need some advice, Professor.
Just the
Sheepman.
other day. Do you think those are the same?
Perhaps. Perhaps not. There were certainly instances when the film would pick up what the human eyes weren't able to see. But then, it could also have been human error.
I didn't edit it in any way. You have my word on that, Professor. They all just came out like that.
Then, if it is what you're thinking, I'd strongly advise against doing something reckless and further tangling with them. Accounts about them may be riveting to you, but most of it often ends in an unpleasant manner.
What about those people in the house? If there is something in there, shouldn't they know? I'm sure they're already familiar with the legends, but...
Some people might deserve it, however.
What?
What?
Oh.
Deserve what, sir?
All of a sudden, the tenderness in the professor's eyes disappears, his face becoming unreadable. As though catching himself, he hastily clears his throat, gathers his books, and rises from his seat.
Professor?
I wonder, does he have a history with the Wrights?
It's looking that way.
I'm sorry. I just remembered something I neglected to do. You'll have to excuse me, Zachary.
All right. Do
Crazy.
you need any help with that?
Don't let my looks fool you, son. I can still carry a few hundreds. I've been doing this for years. I'll see you some other time if you have any other questions.
Of course. It was nice knowing you, Professor.
He doesn't hear it, however.
Ooh, that was such a weird sentence. It was nice knowing you,
Yeah.
Professor. Not it was nice to meet you. This is a British thing.
I was wondering about that.
Because I'm like, man, that just sounds ominous.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Professor.
In a few short strides, he's out the library, leaving me in every piece of this whole mess amidst the oppressive stillness. Despite the answers gleaned, more questions surfaced. If there is even single way out of this, I hope we find it soon. The moon is well into the night sky by the time I make it back home. My heavy treads and the sound of traffic outside echoing in my ears, filling the empty room with some semblance of life. Nana would scold me if she ever hears me walk like that, but after today, I can't really give a damn about everything. The mattress creaks under my weight as I unceremoniously flop down on it, and I find myself looking at the paper under my grip. An invitation and request to cover an event, the Wrights housewarming party,
so it didn't
tomorrow
happen. Okay.
evening. If only it was that easy, but it'll give me a chance to talk to her about that thing in their house. With a sigh, I let my hand fall to the side of the bed along with the invitation. I'll think about it tomorrow when my head ain't muddled with thoughts of a headless woman and the haunting smiles of a ghost. Belatedly, it occurs to me that the last meal I ate had been the one with Ashton. And an empty gnawing ache makes itself known, but I can't bring myself to stand up. Today was a complete waste of time and frankly, a disappointment. I don't like this. The lack of certainty, the disquiet, the lack of stable ground to stand on, the part where I do not know what will come tomorrow. Ever since that damn letter, everything has been thrown out of the loop. I wish everything stayed the same. Routine would have been easier to make sense of than this. Closing my eyes, I let the noise from the streets below lull me to sleep. At the very least, that's the one thing that hasn't changed. Okay, so now it's the day of the party?
Yep.
The melody carries into the hall long before I cross the threshold. Solemn but gentle and soothing, a reminder of what home is. Pa's firm but meaningful gaze, Ma's wistful smile, the warm rays filtering through the eaves at sunset, the distinct smell of wet earth and leaves after a long day's rain, and our room. The room. Ma and Pa's pride and joy, a place where we were once promised several springs ago. Yet it won't stop.
No, wait! Come back! I'll be good this time! Please
is he
don't
dreaming
leave!
this?
Please
No.
stay!
The floorboards are cold under my feet more than it usually is, the walls more forbidding than what I'm used to. Farther and farther the room goes. Ma's singing ceases and Pa, I can't hear Pa. Not above the raucous clanging and the deafening roar of gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comforting soft melodies. There's only the blinding fear, and when the light breaks... Oh, so it's like all like...
Who's having one giant ass nightmare?
Yeah. Her skin has already taken a sickly pale color, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. Bony hands grip Hana's neck like a noose, staining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes. A scream ripples through the air. My whole body feels distant. Every limb heavy with lead, all unable to move at will. Not even so I can wipe the beads of sweat forming at my temple. The rasping of my breath easily fills the room in the wee hours while I force it back into a steady rhythm. There's a tightness in my chest I can't shake off. My heart pounding against it as if it's about to burst out.
Going to pass out from hyperventilating.
I'm surprised he hasn't yet. Something
God.
cold has settled in my legs.
No!
Not the usual chill that comes and goes with the passing breeze from the window, but the one strong enough to sting, shackle, and leave a frigid sensation creeping up my skin.
God.
With every struggle I make, the pressure winds firmly around my legs. Tighter and tighter and tighter, and all until it becomes too much. My heart stops. Another draft sweeps into the room and brings with it the iron tang of blood. Thick, suffocating. Filling my nose with a foul, sickening smell as I shift my gaze downwards and it slowly comes into view.
I'd like to know how she's like can move out of her house.
Mouth stretched in a hideous smile and eyes brimming with nothing but madness. The stench of gore taints the air around me and I can't look away. From it, her, from the terror and death that her uncanny twisted features alone scream. I try to open my mouth, to shout, to ask for help, but my voice has left my body altogether. All I have is a painful realization that no kind of plea will ever save me from her. Then suddenly, the bed dips.
Oh God.
Yeah! Alright.
Well, we're still alive. But anyways, I don't understand how she can like keep getting out of her like
Out of the house?
Like
I think it has to do with the letter. I think once you've seen the letter, she has access to you.
Ugh.
The brutal plunge back into myself jerks me awake. There's no ear-splitting scream, no wild thrashing of limbs. So here's the thing I was thinking of. Is... Because I was getting ready for another QuickTime event.
Yeah,
I don't think there could have been one there, or if there was, you wouldn't be able to fail it because we've already seen Zach alive later.
Correct. Unless this is after the party.
No, it's the day of the party.
Oh, okay.
Just a painful, constricting awareness that something has wound itself tightly around my neck. I waste no second pulling it, a blanket, away, but allowing myself a few minutes to steady my breathing before getting off the bed. Inhale, hold, exhale. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. But the dreams have gotten worse. Ever since 2 days ago, no longer are they the small, cursory flashes that I'm used to, but vivid ones that linger. I can still feel the blood in my hands, the putrid smell of rotting flesh, the sickening crunch of bones breaking with every movement, and her cold, chilling eyes as they bore into me. I draw in one long, ragged breath, and before I know it, I'm walking out the door. Even in the waking world, it reeks. A bench on the park is far from the most private place for thoughts in Lexborn, considering its location at the heart of a bustling city. But in the early hours of the morning, it provides enough peace and quiet for any poor, problematic soul who happens to wander here. The city is just waking up, a little later than usual, but knowing what day it is, one can't fault it for being a little tardy just this once. Yet neither the pleasant morning chill nor the soft twittering of birds does anything to banish the images. Every single one has rooted itself in my head, its claws digging deep in what is no longer a safe place to hide in.
London Bridge is falling down,
What?
down.
What is
No.
what?
Down.
Who is singing?
London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. Take a key and lock him up.
It used to be
lock
easy,
him up,
finding some
lock
pretense
him
of
up. Take
peace
a
under the
key and
guise of
lock
sheer
him up,
optimism,
my
following regular
fair
routine.
lady.
Now I don't know what to make of
London
it.
Bridge is falling
Sometimes it's
down,
easier to run,
falling
easier to
down,
hide when everything's falling
down.
apart. That way you don't
London
have to be the
Bridge is
first to
falling
witness when it
down,
does.
my
It worked
fair
when
lady.
things went bad with the
Take
movie
a
after all.
key and lock him up,
It
lock
also
him
worked when
up,
Ma and Pa
lock
were
him
taken
up.
from us.
Oh my God, can they stop
Take a
singing?
key and lock
Maybe it
him
really
up.
is better if I
Bye.
just...
Hey, mister.
Oh, there we go.
Hello,
Hello,
Mr.
mister.
Achievement.
Are you the one singing?
The tiny voice gives me a pause. When I look up, a little girl, maybe about 6 or 7, is peering at me. 2 wide eyes overflowing with what can only be the natural curiosity one typically sees in children. I vaguely note the St. Goretti uniform she's wearing before returning her greeting.
Hey, kid.
Kylie.
Kylie?
That's my name. Mama said it's rude not to call people by their names.
She then flops down on the empty space beside me. Her little legs, still too short to touch the ground, swings in tune with the song she hums under her breath. I don't mind kids. Nana would often invite the ones in our old neighborhood to give them treats. Of course, by then, Sis and I were both old enough to play with them, but you get used to the commotion eventually. But it's not completely as unpleasant as most people would imply. Kylie seems to be a well-behaved kid anyway.
Oh, sorry. Nice to meet you, Kylie. Is Mama here?
No, but my big brother's with me. He's taking pictures with his camera over there.
She points to the far end of the park, the one closest to the street where a kid is taking shots of something above him. Doesn't look to be birds because all there is on that side of the park are buildings.
I don't see what's so interesting with the tip of a building, though. I'd take pictures of dogs if I were him. They're cute.
I kind of agree.
Yeah.
Do you have a camera too, mister?
Yeah, I'm actually a photographer.
Mama said I'm too young to get a camera.
I'm sure your mama will eventually give you one. But won't you be late for school like this?
Big brother will get us there on time. Rowan promised Papa. We aren't going to be late. It's sports day. So it's not good if you keep looking like that today. If it ends up raining and we lose, it's your fault.
All right, I'll try not to upset the clouds today, kid.
Is it because you're sick, mister?
Before I know it, a smile is spread over my face. They say kids ask the toughest questions sometimes, and they sure do with how sincere Kylie looks. Lying feels like doing her a huge disservice.
No, not sick. Just having a very, very bad day.
Why is that? Is that like when my big brother ate all of my pudding? He did that once and then cried. It wasn't very nice of him.
Yeah, I think so. You see, there's this mean girl. She's giving my friends and I a lot of trouble. Hard to keep up when things are like that, you know? Especially when you can't do anything. It's kind of scary. Makes you wish things will just stay as peaceful as they used to be.
Maybe she just wants to be friends with you?
I have been saying this since the beginning.
I highly doubt that. She already hurt one of my friends.
What if she's just sad? Or maybe she just wants help.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
Is that there's something up that someone needs to find, and
That's why the the letter literally says, help me.
But she doesn't come off as like helping her.
No, right.
She's trying to kill everybody.
Because no one's helping her.
Or she's not the one you need to help.
That could be.
There could be another.
That could be.
That's what happened with Melody. I let her borrow my crayon when she left hers. Now we're playmates.
It's not really the same thing, Kylie. What she did, they're pretty bad things.
I still think there's another
Agreed.
reason.
I agree with this kid.
Yeah.
Did you try talking to her? That's what Mama said I should do.
I don't think that'll work either.
You haven't even tried yet. You sound like Rowan. You're just scared, mister.
That strikes a chord. Maybe it's the honesty in her tone or simply the truth in the words itself. I don't know why, but I can't help it. I laugh. Not enough to disturb an elderly couple taking a leisurely walk
Why
nearby.
are you laughing?
That's nothing. You're a really smart kid, you know that?
That's what I've been doing, ain't it? Go full speed ahead, then backtrack when the going gets tough. Stay in my safe zone because that's what I know. Once Dr. Navarro said I should be the first one willing to deal with my problems before anyone else. I didn't show up on our next appointment after that, but he's right. And though I hate to admit it, knowing what I've seen, but the kid makes a good point too. I've been so
Talk to
caught
your
up.
Ghost.
Yeah, I've been so caught up thinking there might not be a way out. Maybe there isn't, or maybe there is, but that doesn't mean I should just leave it up to fate. Aren't spirits supposed to be humans before too? Had people they cared about lived a life of their own, smiled and laughed like the rest of us? Does they really lose all of it after
You
death?
better get to school, though, or you'll miss sports day. You should have won yourself some awards, all right?
All right. Can I show it to you when I do? That can cheer people up, right?
Oh, shoot. Now, how did I bring that up before? In the distance, her brother calls for her, and I took that as a sign to leave. Got things to do, to face. The first few steps, they say.
Nah, I'm good now, I think. Thanks to you. Besides, Mister needs to go, but you should show it to Mama and Papa. I'm sure they'll be proud of you, Kylie.
I will. Thanks, mister. Bye.
I give her a little pat on the head before heading my way. A small gesture of thanks from a stranger she didn't know she might have helped. She may not understand it now, even though at such a young age she already has this understanding of things, but maybe when she's older. When the world no longer seems too big for her.
But aren't you going to help me, mister?
With what?
Confused, I glance back. Oh. Whatever cheer our little talk brought has vanished under the shadows suddenly dancing in my eyes. The frigid air is most definitely not how the morning chill should feel like. Bitter, stinging, unwelcoming. And the kid?
What do you think, mister? Are you going to help me?
What do you want from us?
The response never comes, however, because when I blinked, gone.
Hello? Mister? Are you okay?
For several passing seconds, I let my stare linger on her face, waiting for any sign of another change. But all that remains in there is the carefree smile of a child. None of that spite, none of the cold, bloody smile.
Nothing, huh? I really need to go, Kylie. It was nice meeting you.
See you again, mister!
I break into a run. I don't look back, not even as I bump into a couple passers-by as soon as I'm out on the busy streets. Going insane. This is what it is. And if we don't do something soon, we all will be. The tremors follow me even as I get home. I'd hoped a little stroll around the block for a few hours would help. Instead, I'm assaulted with more images of her smile, the loathing in her eyes, the stench of gore, the horrid crunch that comes with every movement she makes. Even old memories have been sullied by her, and Ma's song no longer sounds as sweet as it's meant to be. In the end, all I got is a sinking feeling I will never be rid of her image, and another ridiculous idea that may or may not even work. The sun is already hanging low on the horizon when I make it back, and for the first time, coming home feels more like a chore. Only, I didn't arrive to an empty room, because as soon as I open the door, I'm greeted by none other than...
Sup, Z-Man?
I told you we should have called him before going here.
Oh, Isabel's here too.
It's fine.
It is Ashton I see first, sitting comfortably on my couch, munching on a bag of chips with both feet propped atop the coffee table. Whatever proverbial stone has made a home at the pit of my stomach automatically flies right out the window at the sight of him. But before my exasperation can set in, my attention is taken by the other occupant in the room. Isabella perches on the only other chair in the room, attempting to make herself smaller, it seems, from how closely she's hugging her arms against her. Nevertheless, she gives me a small smile when she notices my stare. Yet somehow, there ain't any warmth in it like it's supposed to have.
Hey, Zach. Sorry we just barged in here. Ash was...
Relax. Z-Man gave me a copy of the key himself.
Only after you broke the 13th one. I can't keep replacing them every time you think it'd be a good idea to break into my apartment.
You're a cop,
And stop
dude.
calling me Z-Man.
I didn't break anything this time.
Ash, just because I gave you a key doesn't mean you can just stroll in here whenever you want to. And, hey, is that my...
Ash smirks at me because, of course, he has the gall to smirk knowing what he did. He pops in what's very likely the last piece of chip into his mouth and folds the wrapper neatly on the table before throwing it on the nearby trash. From her chair, Isabella shoots me an apologetic smile as soon as the foil hits the waste bin with a dull thunk. Common sense dictates that I should be angry, but after everything, having something normal play out in front of me, no matter how childish their antics can get, I can't bring myself to muster even a tidbit of it. Behind me, the television starts blaring the music for the end credits of a movie. They likely have been waiting for a while if Ash has gotten impatient enough to rummage through my cupboards and watch something.
Of course he eats all of it. You know, I was saving that for the weekend. Did you at least share some with Bella?
Don't worry about it. I'm good, Zach.
Really? It's free food, you know? What was that you usually say? You don't say no to free food? What happened?
No, I'm just not hungry.
Ash only shrugs at the question in my eyes. I can't be the only one who finds this vibe she's giving off to be odd, and the guy has no doubt already caught wind of it.
Aye. But if you want something, just say so. I've got a fully restocked pantry right here at your disposal. Still not a 5-star level thing, but for an empty stomach, it'd do. Just say the word.
Thanks, Zach. Maybe next time. Food is not really what we came
You
here
gonna come
for.
talk about how you almost got killed by a creepy ghost?
I'm wondering.
Ash, he's the one who...
He casts a brief glance at Ash, and in an instant he sits up. Every trace of amusement is gone from his face as he clasps his hands in front of him and leans forward. A minuscule gesture meant to ease, yet the grim expression on him tells a different story altogether.
All right, you two, what's this about? I don't like those looks. What I said was weird. I'm aware of that. But I'm not taking it back. Isabella's not the only one here who's seen it.
Short but tense pause follows. They're both stalling.
Ooh, did he see it now?
Oh, that'd be interesting. Under normal circumstances, I'd wait. With these two, the more you force it, the more they'll clamp down on it. But as a handful of seconds continue to slip by, the unsettling feeling in me also grows with it. Soon it turns into impatience. Before I can demand a response, though, one of them finally speaks up. It is Ashton who first breaks it.
I'm not asking you to. No, you're right. There really are some odd things going on here lately.
Oh.
How is everything with you lately, Zach?
Hold on, Ash. Both of you. Did I just hear you say that? Is this why Isabella's here? Has something happened?
Calm down, we're just here to check on things. So, did you meet Andrew about the photos?
What photographs?
That photographs has been sitting untouched since the day I dumped them in my drawer. Isabella goes very still when I hand her the small stack. To her credit, she does not flinch like I'm expecting her to and flips through each of it in silence. While her eyes remain strangely calm, her hands have gone rigid and her mouth has set into a thin line. She, out of all people, understands what this means. In hindsight, she should have been the one I approached before Ash, which was not an option.
Yeah,
I was very surprised.
We wanted to do that.
What did Andrew say about them?
It could be one, but there's no guarantee it's a supernatural thing. It doesn't always happen. So that's a dead end right there. Now that I think about it, bothering that guy for this feels pretty silly now. But with the dreams lately...
That's all? Did he say anything about the damn letter at all? Did you ask him even?
I pause, glancing at him skeptically. I don't know where the sudden curiosity is coming from, but if Ashton, calm, cool, collected, always logical Ashton takes interest in this, something or someone must have fucked shit up somewhere. Or the world is ending.
He's seen it. I'm telling you, he's seen it now.
Seconds pass. The apocalypse I'm expecting to go along with it doesn't arrive, however.
Yeah, that's really everything. The letter kind of slipped my mind. The photos were more important at that time. There was some stuff about the local horror stories, though. Talked about the curses, and he was really fascinated with the story about a wraith asking for a sacrifice to move on. Kinda nasty if you ask me. But it does make sense if you simply go along with it. I'm not sure how this will help in the grand scheme of things. Why are you asking about this anyway?
Rose's death isn't just a coincidence, Zach. It may have something to do with... I may have...
Wait. Stop right there for a sec, Bella. I thought you ain't buying this stuff, Ash. Just the other day, you said the exact same thing.
I still don't, but even Rebecca, out of all people, claims there's something.
Oh, okay.
Whatever this is, someone has got to look into it. Everything about this screams shady.
Are you sure you even have the time? Ain't you busy with your current case?
Isn't this his current case?
Yeah, kind
I
of.
got taken off that one.
You
Oh, they
didn't
won't
say
let him
you were
in-
taken off your case.
Investigate the rights anymore.
I just got the news this morning. Apparently, the higher-ups think I'm doing a horrendous job at it. It doesn't matter, though. If these two cases are connected like I initially thought, then regardless, I'm on the right track.
Are you sure we should even be doing this?
Doing what exactly?
There's someplace we'll visit after this.
Too vague for comfort, Ash. And please don't tell me you're bringing her with you.
His affirmation comes in the form of a stare, but that alone says all I need to know. What I pointed out gives him pause, though, and his voice is thick with hesitation when he addresses Isabella.
You know what? Zach's right, Isabella. You don't have to come with me.
It's not myself I'm worried about. It's you. I'll just do this myself, if it'll get you into more trouble with your superiors. At least I can make up an excuse why I need to be there.
Don't be ridiculous. You're not walking in there without me. Besides, I think it's a little too late to back out now.
We didn't see her there.
Have you two seen the news this morning?
I haven't, actually. Mama called, and I was busy.
The change in the air around her, while small, cannot have gone unnoticed, and it takes every willpower not to ask. Probably the only thing reigning in my curiosity is the fact that Ash himself haven't brought it up either.
No problem. It should be in the afternoon news as well.
Man burned after room catches fire. All right, we'll just have to find out more about that in the next episode.
Is it the professor?
We'll just have
Or
to...
is it the butler? Is it the butler's husband? Is it crazy general dude?
No, it can't be any of them because this is before the party.
That's true.
Interesting. All right, so we'll just have to find out what happens next time.
Interesting.
All right. That's going to do it for us. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.